Yo, welcome to the debut of Real Talk with Canuck. Before I get to what this show is going to be about today, anyway, there's a few things I want to get off my chest first. Um, just a few cosmetic things and a few uh, thank yous that need to go out. And then we'll get to the meat of the matter today, and I'll explain what the new the new show will be and its frequency, etc., and then we'll get into a little bit of what this this roller coaster will be, and you guys can be the judge. So first off, I do want to thank Mary's Game Room. Mary, she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Like today, I was like, I'm going to actually do this show I've been thinking about doing. Yeah, I'm going to go live this afternoon. And she got my on the fly, she got my thumbnail done. So she does a lot of stuff for me behind the scenes that I just either don't have the time for or I'm not able to. And I don't think I thank her enough. So right out of the gate with Real Talk, I want to send a big thank you to Mrs. Canuck. Yeah, she does a lot for me on this channel. A lot of things that I don't even talk about. But yeah, she does a lot behind the scenes. Secondly, I want to thank everybody once again for their enormous support for my Drac interview. That was an absolute outstanding moment on History with R&R. That I could have been quite honestly happy with 5 people, but you all showed up and showed out, and I was just blown away. So thank you for making that a success, and hopefully we'll be able to have him on again. He thoroughly enjoyed himself, and from what he told me, and so hopefully we'll have him on again. So thank you for your support with History with R&R. I know with History with R&R, the posts aren't as frequent as I'd like. But at the same time, it's a history channel. So I don't want to just post to post, get something wrong. In the start, we started with like Wikipedia and stuff, but that stuff, even, looking at it at a glance, you really have to edit out a lot because some of the stuff that's on there just makes you shake your head. But anyway, so it just takes a little bit more involvement to do a History with R&R stream or a History with R&R video. I am blessed that Loki's Mornings of Mischief and a few others have agreed to help me through a few things. And it's been awesome to have people like that. So now that we got all that out of the way, I do want to also state that. So I've had this idea for Real Talk, but it's kind of had different names over the last couple of months. But I've also kind of been wondering whether I should or not, because quite frankly, Rambling Canuck as a channel has grown over the last little while, and I don't mean by subscribers. I just mean by content. So originally, I was talking Star Trek, Star Wars, wrestling, anything I could think of. I just do a live stream and and then I started getting sour talking about the modern day stuff. So I moved to a gaming platform where it's kind of funny for me, being the joke that, um, I don't play games well. So the fact that somebody watches me play a video game is hilarious to me, because I don't play them well. But it's been a riot. It's been fun. Now this stream will be a little different. And I really feel like I have to do this stream, um, because as much as I enjoy the karaoke nights where we're all for fun and enjoyment and laughs and jokes, and then on the gaming streams we're we're having fun and stuff like that. there's another part of me that isn't being serviced, and that is the critical thinking, um, kind of eyes everywhere, rational thoughts that come into my head, and other than yelling at my walls, uh, I don't have a lot of avenues to go and bring these things up. So I thought that it would be fun to watch, once a month, or maybe once or twice a month. I'll have a real talk with Canuck, and once in a while it'll just be myself, and then other times I'll bring on guests that have viewpoints on whatever I'm talking about that day. And but it won't necessarily be a guest show, but it will accommodate both a solo stream and a guest stream. Welcome, Mary's Game Room. Love you, dear. Um, so it's going to be uh, one of those streams where you may not agree with everything I say. And it's not always going to be about, roses and butterflies. And some of it'll be absolutely hilarious to some, because they'll see me lose my absolute shit about things, which I will get to in a little bit. Uh, they probably won't be any longer than an hour. Just once a month, or every, just when I find something that I really need to talk about, that's when this show will rear its ugly head. So when there's a moment when Canuck sees something and goes, "Are you effing kidding me?" and I need to vent, this show will pop up. Whether it'll be me or it'll have guests, will depend on the topic and how fast I decide that I want to do this stream. So with all that stuff out of the way, let's get down to some of the things I want to discuss. So let's get the stuff that most people don't give a rat's patoot about out of the way first. The wrestling world. The more I watch online wrestling communities, shall we say, the online wrestling community, the more I shake my effing head. So as you may or may not know, WrestleMania was last weekend. 2 nights, whole bunch of money made, everything else. Well, the day after, so Monday, WWE announces that they have sold to Endeavor. And they're going to merge WWE with UFC. And so that's an interesting prospect. I mean, Brock Lesnar must be absolutely thrilled, because now he'll be able to jump between companies, I would assume. Go wrestle in UFC and then go wrestle at WrestleMania, because they're the same fucking company. So I'm pretty sure Brock is over the moon. So it's really interesting to me to see that. And the funny part about the online wrestling community is when it comes to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And I'm going to touch on a few of my thoughts on this. And welcome, Castle and Loki. So, as anybody who's been in the wrestling world for 5 seconds knows the name Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He was the owner of the WWE, WWF back in the day, WWF back in the day, if you want to go that far, but that was his father, and then Junior shortened it. And then the World Wildlife Fund made him change it completely, and they got the F out. But anyway, that was a stupid campaign. Moving on to modern day. So, WWE gets sold to Endeavor. They're going to merge WWE with the UFC. That's going to be interesting. So the wrestling community, in their infinite fucking wisdom, are having today, as I speak, hashtag Fire Vince trend. Because they think that if a whole bunch of these whiny bastards in their basements, and I'm sorry I'm going to say that, and it's so judgmental, but I don't care, scream loud enough for Endeavor to fire Vincent Kennedy McMahon, that they'll fire Vince. Newsflash, morons! If you read the same magazines I do, Vince McMahon, before the WWE was announced sold, became an active employee of WWE. Not a private contractor, an employee with WWE. A multi-billion-dollar contract that if they relinquish or fire him, they will be paying Vincent Kennedy McMahon until the day he dies. Literally. And it's not chump change. It's not $1,000 a week. It's a shit ton of money. So let me get this straight. Because you don't like Vince, you want Endeavor to fire Vincent Kennedy McMahon. The stupidest business decision they could ever make that would make their stock tank in about 5 minutes. And if you need proof of this, real proof, if you move yourself away from the online community where everybody goes, everybody hates Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Everybody does. The wrestlers are going to revolt because Vince is back. Oh, the wrestlers are going to revolt. Oh, blah, 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 gloom and doom bullshit. Here's the reality. When WWE announced Vince McMahon's return, before they even mentioned a sale, just that Vincent Kennedy McMahon was back on the board, the stock jumped a whole bunch of points. Not negative, positive. Then it jumped even more when they found out that Vince was in charge of the sale. So let me get this straight. They want Endeavor to listen to a whole bunch of wrestling fans that have no financial input in the grand scheme of things. Because let's face it, if anyone thinks for 5 seconds that this big fire Vince or else thing is going to do jack shit to the bottom line of WWE, I got news for you. It ain't the first time. It won't be the last. And I got news for you. They still sell out every time. Well, not every time, but they still pack the rafters and they still make bank. Every time. So, fan outrage, wah, wah, wah. As a matter of fact, as I'm ranting, I remember this skit on Raw. I think it was Raw or SmackDown. Triple H comes out and he's talking to the audience and he goes, I read online all the time that all these fans are unhappy with Raw. They're unhappy with WWE. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take all my anger and you know what? I could stop going to WWE events. No, that won't do it. Stop going. Nope, that's not the answer. Writing WWE executive. That's the ticket. No, that's not it. And I'm paraphrasing. But basically, he finally gets down to, I'm going to launch my big complaint on Twitter and Facebook. Well, here's the problem. Vincent Kennedy McMahon probably doesn't even know what Twitter is. Reality? And if he does, he's definitely not on it. Secondly, Facebook, I highly doubt Vince McMahon has that app open for more than 5 seconds in his lifetime. Just saying. So you're yelling and screaming on Twitter. It's falling on deaf ears. Endeavor just went on a national televised event announcing the merger. And the guy who runs Endeavor basically said, whatever Vince wants to do, we're going to do. However long Vincent Kennedy McMahon wants to be where he is, he will be. Here's a news flash for the wrestling community. In Endeavor's ownership structure, under the new company, it is reported that the order of operations will be the head of Endeavor, and then Vince McMahon and another guy are right below him. Dana White is below Vince McMahon in the pecking order. So go ahead, waste your tweet fingers, because it ain't changing shit. Secondly, wrestling fans, you make my head hurt, and I know I'm picking on you guys, but Jesus, here's the stupidest comment. Loki, you'll be able to bash your head against the wall on this one. This is literally the sentiment I hear all the time. How dare Vince McMahon want to control what happens to WWE? The man owns the fucking company. Yes, but how dare he be on the board? The man owns the fucking company. Yeah, but how dare he want to be in creative? The man owns the fucking company. Yes, but he should just go away and leave it to Triple H and everybody else and Vince McMahon should just go away. Again, Vince McMahon owns the fucking company. Let me ask anybody in the chat right now. If you owned a company, are you walking away because a bunch of tweeter people yell and scream and don't like you? Or are you being as hands-on as possible to make sure that those dollars and cents hit your bank account? Just asking. Like, seriously, these people are stupid. Downright fucking stupid. Vince McMahon needs to back away. Vince McMahon owns the shit. If you ever thought you were going to get a Vince McMahon-less WWE, I got newsflash for you. The only way Vince was selling WWE is if his position was cemented, which is why when AEW fans went psycho over Tony Khan stating, well, maybe we'll buy WWE, I laughed my ass off because Vince had final say. And if you think for one fucking moment WWE, in other words, Vince McMahon, was going to allow Tony Khan to come up on Raw saying, I own this bitch now. The minor leagues competition saying he owns this bitch now. I got newsflash for you. Vince would have rolled over and died before he would have allowed Tony Khan. And I don't care how much money they threw at him to own WWE. So, yeah, fans, wake up. This is stupid. The wrestling fandom is so damn toxic. It's insanity. And we've gotten entitled too. Like, okay, for instance, I did not like the end of WrestleMania Night 2. I thought it was a missed opportunity. But there are people breaking TVs. I'm not even joking. There are people ranting and raving that because WWE didn't give them the ending they want, they're canceling their subscription. And WWE goes, bullshit. Because you know what? Here's the problem. Wrestling fans have called the sky is falling too many times. Ever since going back to WCW days. Well, if this happens, I'm going to stop watching wrestling. And yeah, many fans did, but not the core, not the diehards. If this happens, I'm stopping. That's it. I'm done. I'm out. And then the next pay-per-view, They're tweeting about the damn pay-per-view again. Same morons that said, that's it, I'm done, are still commenting on the product 2 days later. So WWE knows it's horseshit. But anyway, so wrestling fans, grow a sack and fucking smarten up, because you're pissing me off. Maybe I'm just an old wrestling fan who liked the days of the Monday Night Wars, but knows it'll never happen again. Never again. And Tony Khan, you're about as much in a war with WWE as college football is with the NFL. So shut up. Yeah, Loki. Like I said, some fans did. Some fans did. Some fans did. However, although on that note, Loki, just a quick question: would you have been more happy if the deal would have went through that Eric Bischoff would have bought WCW? Just curious, because that was in the cards for Eric Bischoff to own WCW. In fact, they had a higher bid right up until TBS said we're not having it on our TV anymore. And then that deal kind of fell through and went up in flames. And Vince got it for dollars on the for pennies on the dollar. But at any rate, so like, you know, it's just amazing to me. Well, here's a kicker for you, Loki. So on the build up, since Loki knows WCW and who Eric Bischoff is, we'll state this. On the build up to the sale, ever since it was announced that WWE was up for sale, there was rumors it was the Saudis. The Saudis were going to buy WWE because they've got the money. So it's going to be the Saudis. If it's not the Saudis, it's going to be AEW. The Khans are going to buy WWE. All right. One of the only people. Oh, yeah. The other thing was Disney was going to buy WWE. So what? The female wrestlers would be Disney princesses now? Anyway, moving on. So there was a whole bunch of rumors and speculation. Eric Bischoff from the start said that Vince McMahon is either taking it private or Endeavor's buying it. That was Eric Bischoff from the start. So there's that. Moving on. So we have wrestling fandom in absolute stupidity. It's just crazy. And there are other aspects to the wrestling that just drive me nuts. This fake war between AEW and WWE is fucking stupid. AEW is as much in a war, like I said before, with WWE as college football is with the NFL. It's two different leagues. It's just two different leagues. And now the WWE is merging with the UFC. I'm sorry. If there was ever a chance for AEW to tap out, now would be the time. Because you're not facing that juggernaut. You're going to have UFC and WWE. Just, yeah, you're fucked. So hopefully they stop this whole we're in a war and winning against WWE bullshit. Not to mention Tony Khan couldn't book his way out of a wet paper bag with the bottom missing. Doesn't mean a thing. Watching that show week to week is painful. And I don't even review it. I watch it because I'm bored at dialysis. But at any rate, so we're going to move aside from wrestling for a second. And like I said, there are a few things I'm going to say on this stream that may offend or piss people off. And again, I want to stress these are my opinions. You can disagree with me. I do not care. That is your right and your opinion. Go for it. Have at her, Haas. So I'm going to touch on the current politics of the week. and I'm gonna state a warning, a historical warning. In my opinion, the Democrats have just handed the Republicans the next election. Lock, stock, and barrel. And I'm Canadian, so what the fuck do I know? Even if Trump doesn't run or can't run, the Republicans are winning the next election. They could put probably a sock puppet up, and the Republicans are going to win. Because the Democrats just did the dumbest thing imaginable. And by that, I mean the indictment of Trump. That was the dumbest thing they ever could have done. They know Trump's intentions to run in 2024. Now, as much as the Democrats, now again, I'm Canadian, what the fuck do I know? But follow me here. The Democrats came out of the 2022 midterm elections celebrating and dancing around like a bunch of morons because they held the Senate by the skin of their nuts, claiming that they have now won 3 elections in a row. I have a problem with that as a stupid Canadian. In 2018, the Democrats didn't have the House, didn't have the Senate, and well, after the 2018 midterms, the Republicans held the Senate but lost the House. Is any of that sounding familiar? So in 2022, now the Democrats claim that as a win. They only got halfway there. And that's a win for the Democrats. Okay. Well, moving into 2022, the Democrats had the House, they had the Senate. By the end of the midterm elections, they lost the House and barely held the Senate. Basically replicating what the Democrats did in 2018. But yet it's still a victory. If I've ever heard of moving goalposts in my life, that's one of them. And yes, Nighthawk, I just went into a long tirade about the whole Endeavor thing. So that confuses me, but then again, I'm a fucking Canadian. What do I know? Secondly, moving on to what I just said by the stupidest thing the Democrats ever did. No matter what you think of Trump's politics, the one thing I think we can all agree on is Trump is an orator. He's very good on the mic, in a wrestling term. He's very good at a promo. He's very good. You put a microphone in front of that man and he could, sell people who have snow all around them a whole bunch of ice just for fun. Right? The man can speak. So let me get this straight, Democrats. You're going to give a man who's running for president an open mic for free, national coverage for free. He won't need to pay a dime. You're going to give him national coverage with an open mic. You're going to give him a running platform for 2024. One of political interference. You're going to give him his smoking gun. You just did, dumbasses. You just gave a man who could sell maple syrup to Canada an open mic and a cause to rally every Republican in the United States. You just gave him his rally call. You just gave him his rally call. You just took away any defense you had of We don't suppress the Republican vote. You just took that all away in one fell swoop. Because here you go. Your leading contender for president of 2024 got arrested Tuesday. That can't be spun, right? No, they'd never spin that against us. Never. Never in a million years would they do that. You morons. Of course they will. Whoever runs the Republican ticket, of course they will. But again, I'm just a stupid Canadian. What do I know? And the other reason why I find this so stupid is, without mentioning any names, let's go back in history a little bit. So in Germany in the early 30s, there was something called the Putsch. And the leaders of said Putsch were not well known. They weren't household names. They weren't. Especially the leader. He was definitely not a household name in Germany. And then they made that trial public. And then they gave an orator an open mic. And he got the best publicity he'd ever gotten in his life. He got the best publicity he'd ever gotten in his life. Not only did the judge feel sorry for him by the end of it, but the outpouring of support post-trial was mind-boggling. Letters poured in for him because of his oratory skills. He twisted everything. And they gave it to him. They gave him the open mic. Sound familiar? So here we are in 2023, and another orator who could sell maple syrup to Canada is about to get an open mic. I got news for you. That person who nobody barely knew in Germany ended up being the leader. Main cause of World War II. Just saying. So, in my opinion, this whole thing makes no damn sense. In my opinion, I think they just fucked up big. And here's the problem. The Democrats going into the 2016 election downplayed Trump. Downplayed him. He's not going to win. Nobody's going to vote for him. Give me a break. Bullshit. And then they did. And he became president. So you'd think they would have learned their lesson. Newsflash. Nope. They're about to repeat the same mistake. Because in 2020, they had all of their all of their constituents believing we got to win this. This is now or never. We've got to do this. They're not going into 2024 with the same gusta. They're going into 2024 cocky like they did in 2016. They're going into 2024 ungalvanized. And all this trial will do will galvanize the right. At least that's my humble opinion, but what the fuck do I know? I'm just Canadian. And the best part is, it doesn't even matter what the facts are. It doesn't even matter if he's found, whatever. It just doesn't. You get a good enough orator and they can spin anything, and Trump's that good. I mean, look at how bulletproof he was on the first time he ran. They threw everything at him, including the kitchen sink, and he talked his way around it every time. So, yeah. So that's my thoughts on that. A little nugget. Sorry, brain farted there for a second. It happens. I'll blame medication. So yeah. Oh yeah. So early 20s. You're right. It was the early 20s because they didn't really take over until the 30s. So yeah, the putsch would have been in the 20s. But yeah, so again, no matter the dates, the theory remains the same. Whether it happened in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 80s, the 90s, doesn't matter. The end result was the same. And I think the parallel is fitting. And not because of the ideology, just the fact that somebody thought it was a bright idea to give an orator a open mic. Not the smartest thing in the world. Hold on 1 second. All right, there we go. I had to get rid of music in the background or I'd get copyright claimed. It's bad enough YouTube's going to hate half of my last diatribe. All right, so we've covered wrestling, covered a little bit of American politics. Joy. Just a quick message to Trudeau. You can shove C11 up your ass. Can also shove the Assisted Suicide Act up your ass too. Yeah. Never thought I'd have to vote conservative, but here we are. But with that, I'm going to say thank you all. I hope that I didn't offend too many people, but hey, I'm a man, stupid Canadian, and I have my opinions, and they don't matter worth a shit, but they are mine, and I hold them. Loki's morning, the Democrats openly supported Trump back candidates, then screamed they must be removed. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, and I'm going to use the wrestling community as an example, which probably will piss off every wrestling fan in the world, but oh well. Don't care. Here's the problem. People seem to think that online stuff is what as long as on Twitter it says that 95% of this demographic supports X, Y, and Z, that in reality, away from the internet, 95% of that demographic supports X, Y, and Z. The problem is most of these polls are taken within the bubble. So before the question is asked, they know the answer going in, right? It would be like walking into a Darth Vader convention where people openly have said that the only reason they're going to this convention is because Darth Vader is their favorite Star Wars character. And then running a poll at said convention, who is your favorite Star Wars character? And then running a headline, Star Wars fans overwhelmingly vote that Darth Vader is the best character in Star Wars. Welcome to Twitter 2023. Fuck. And yeah. And yeah, it is a big mistake. It's a huge mistake. The Democrats are once again in the position where they're cocky. They're not in power. They're in power, and therefore they won. And they'll always continue to win. Democrats will never lose. You're fucking stupid. And Republicans pissed me off at the midterm elections, acting like, the Pope had died. Oh, our party's in shambles. You took the fucking House and almost took the Senate. What the fuck? Anyway. It's like, God, even their own party has no faith in themselves at some points and say stupid shit. But, it just makes me shake my head. Also, politically correctness can kiss my ass. One more little announcement. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and here's one YouTube I really hate. I'm not going to get into it too much, but where does Canuck stand on this issue? Well, I'll answer it in one sentence. Leave the children alone. Moving on. Before I get fucking blasted into the ether for that one. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And that's the way it'll work. Yeah. So, like, people really need to wake the fuck up and start looking at things rationally again, because we're losing everything. History is being rewritten day after day after day. That's the scary part. Never mind teaching history. They're teaching the history they want to remember, not the history that happened. And that's been going on for a lot longer than most would like to admit. But there was always a check and balance to it. I mean, most history books you read today are propaganda. Have pieces of propaganda written in them, because you got to look at who it's written by and what side they were on, or what's the motivation for the book. But, nobody critically thinks anymore. They just see something in writing, whether it's on Facebook or Twitter, and take it for gospel and move on. Yeah. The famous line in Loki's chat is always, "We'd never kneel." Well, I got news for you. Too many motherfuckers are kneeling. And with that, take her easy, folks. Canuck out.